Hi, my name is Dr. Daniel Roney. The topic of this video is fibromyalgia and what I would consider the systematic solution in order to get symptomatic relief from fibromyalgia. Okay, so studying chronic pain and chronic fatigue for more or less 20 plus years, okay, specifically fibromyalgia. And what I've learned is that you really don't have fibromyalgia. That's just a word of deductive, conclusion or deductive reasoning, meaning they can't figure out what's going on, so they label you with fibromyalgia because you have X, Y, or Z symptoms, okay? But I'm definitely here to tell you, you don't have fibromyalgia. What you have is multiple systems of your body, okay, that are not working well, creating multiple symptoms, okay? All right, so I'll break down in this brief video what those system breakdowns are, or what issues or what causes are creating your symptoms, okay, that make up the fibromyalgia diagnosis, okay? Number one, almost guaranteed. Been working with fibromyalgia patients for a long time. Almost every single one, I hesitate to use the word always or never, so I'll say almost every single one has an autoimmune condition, whether it's been diagnosed or not diagnosed. You pretty much can assure you have one, okay? When your immune system starts to dysregulate, basically the immune cells attack your own tissue, and it creates an immune reaction day in and day out, okay? And what that does, it creates inflammation. It blocks the ability, among other things, of your body to produce energy, so you get fatigued. It's kind of like having the flu every day, okay? Having an autoimmune condition is very similar to that. So, point being, most of you, if not every single one of you diagnosed with fibromyalgia, can almost guarantee you have an autoimmune condition. Another thing that most of you have are digestive issues. You have something called intestinal permeability or leaky gut. You're reacting to certain proteins in your diet, creating food sensitivities, okay? All that you may have read about, you may have wondered if it's real or not. I'm here to tell you that the research is overwhelming. It's no longer theory. What they call intestinal permeability or leaky gut is absolutely 100% researched, studied, and justified, okay? So there's probably issues in your gut that are creating inflammatory type of reactions, right? Digestive issues, I guarantee almost every one of you have those. A lot of you have infections in your system, and what infections do is cause your immune system to constantly overwork and create almost a flu-like mechanism going on in your body, right? Not that you have the flu, but the same immune response that causes you to feel inflamed or sore and achy during the flu and tired. Infections can do that. The number one that we see is something called candida, okay? Yeast, fungi, something like that. There's also bacteria infections, and there could be parasitic infections in the gut, some of those things. Also, we'll see chronic viral infections like Epstein-Barr, monocytomegalia, things like that, okay? So infections typically also make up the fibromyalgia diagnosis. We see blood glucose imbalances, and that could be either insulin resistance or hypoglycemia. Real quick, insulin resistance, if you get tired after you eat or you crave a lot of sweets, that's insulin resistance. At least you have the mechanisms going on of insulin resistance. Hypoglycemia is if I miss meals, I get shaky, jittery, irritable, things like that. That is low blood sugar. If you have, most of you have a combination, again, clinically, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands of patients that I've been able to interview over my career, I can tell you most have both hypoglycemia, and insulin resistance. The significance is twofold. Number one, dysglycemia or blood glucose imbalances significantly increase inflammation in the body, and they also create major hormone imbalances as well. So that's a significant one. Okay, another one that I can almost promise you have, if you've been diagnosed fibromyalgia, is a thyroid problem, okay? That's a topic for another day. We have websites that I could direct you to on that one. At the end of this, I'll direct you to a video that's going to encompass all these, right? So thyroid malfunction is very, very common, if not almost always there with my fibromyalgia patients. Another one that's almost always there is adrenal fatigue, okay? when you have chronic inflammation and chronic pain and blood glucose imbalances and stress, etc., your adrenals are your stress glands. Those stress glands can only keep up the fight for so long, and then your body decreases the amount of cortisol it can produce because they're worn out, okay? Symptoms would include either the inability to get to sleep or stay asleep, afternoon fatigue, dizziness when standing, very slow start in the morning, or difficulty getting going in the morning, heavy perspiration, headaches with stress, those types. Two other things that are really significant with adrenal malfunction, especially low, hypoglycemia that I just talked about is dependent upon, or blood glucose stability is dependent upon cortisol. If you're low on cortisol, more than likely you go into hypoglycemia, low blood sugar, fairly quickly. It's also why you don't sleep well at night, the combination of low adrenals and low blood glucose, by the way. Adrenals are very, very important in this. Most patients that I see with fibro have adrenal malfunction. Hormone imbalance, all right? I get into this in other videos, but basically the hormones are what I call tertiary, meaning they're not a primary problem, they're not a secondary problem. They react from this immune dysregulation and digestive issues and adrenal malfunction, and which causes the hormones to be imbalanced. But most of you have an imbalance between your estrogen and progesterone. What I typically see is that we see estrogen dominance and low progesterone. And I do talk about that in other videos, so I'm going to encourage you to watch some other things here. A lot of you have anemia, okay? Anemia is critical because if you're low on red blood cells, low on iron, for example, iron is necessary for many biochemical processes in the body. It's utilized in many pathways to create, thyroid function and energy and things like that. So if you're anemic, it's actually a very, very big deal. Brain, I mentioned the brain because a lot of my fibro patients have brain fog and memory issues and such. And what I will tell you is the brain is affected by all this stuff. As this stuff gets better, the brain gets better. So the point that I really want to make here is that you really don't have fibro. You have malfunctions in all these different areas. Now, many of my fibro patients, all these areas are involved, right? There are some that just have a few, but I could tell you, gosh, again, hundreds of patients successfully worked with, by the way, and studying this for so many years, I can tell you, you have multiple issues going on that are creating your symptoms. The critical, part of this and how to get this better, so to speak, is a systematic process that allows for these things to get better, right? If you have all this stuff going on and the doctor says, here, take some Lyrica, Cymbalta. If you're on the page with me right now, the same page that is, you can surmise right now that Cymbalta or that Lyrica is not going to handle or fix all these different issues. It's simply going to dull your pain, but it doesn't address the causes, right? And that's the problem. The biggest thing that I would say in regards to fibromyalgia, because we have so many specialists today, that these areas are not dealt with appropriately by one doctor. And so you're going to different specialists, sometimes 5, 6 different specialists trying to get help, and to no avail. And it's because two things. Number one, they're all not working together, knowing that a lot of these work together simultaneously, right? It's like a domino effect. And number two, even if they found, some of these problems, the only solution is Band-Aid, right? We don't want to Band-Aid it. We want to actually fix the mechanisms that cause these things to break down. All right. Point I'll make real quick is that I've shot and recorded a video that explains every one of these in great detail. If you opt in, okay, all you have to provide is your email address, your name and your email, and we'll immediately send this video to your email address, which you can watch at your leisure, okay? It's long, it's got an hour long, maybe a little bit longer, but it breaks down each and every one of these. I will tell you it's critical. Watching that video is critical, and the understanding of it is critical for you to get better. Whether or not you ever come see us or need my help, irrelevant. That information, I guarantee you, is life-changing. You have to have it. It's taken me 20 years to figure this stuff out, and I'm going to tell you, it's what not many other people on the planet are doing or understanding regarding fibromyalgia. The other thing that, if you opt in, that you'll get is a report that was handwritten by myself, and it details a lot of what we talked about. Personally, I'm going to tell you the video I think is much better because I explain everything in detail. So having said that, if you need me, you certainly can call me. I will walk you through this step-by-step process. Initially, we try to get labs and we try to figure out, of these things, what do you have going on? And then we put a detailed, systematic plan together in order to get you better step by step. Okay? Either way, access that information that I just talked about. It will help you tremendously. If I can help you in the process, I look forward to it. If not, I totally understand, and I ultimately wish you the best and hope that you get the information that you need in order to get better. Okay? Take care.